So just to level set, what is an audit trail? It's that list of events that happen in the system. So it could be logging in, viewing a file, deleting a file. Um, and each event has a bunch of metadata or information about that event. So it's the who, what, when, where, and how of that event. Here's an example of an actual audit trail entry for Microsoft 365. And we can sort of see, what happened, any information about it, who the user was, what IP address they were coming from, and then what product they were using as an example. But there's certainly lots of information there. So how does Microsoft 365 approach audit trails? Unlike the previous version, it's now centralized. So everything to do with Microsoft 365 is in one location for an audit trail. So whether we're talking about Active Directory or if we're talking about SharePoint or OneDrive, it's all in one location, which is pretty cool. It's all activities. So every single thing, thousands of activity types are being captured, and then there's hundreds of different pieces of information. So usernames and IP addresses and lots of cool data. There are some gaps in the audit trail. So it does disappear if you have an E3 or E1 license. Right now, it disappears after 3 months. If you have E5, then it will save it for 1 year. And recently, I think just last month or this month, they announced the ability to pay for additional storage. I think it's up to 10 years in total, but you have to go and configure the system to tell it which people to store, which SharePoint sites to store, etc. So certainly some work there to maintain it, and still a maximum of 10 years. And you may have, content in your organization where the life cycle of that content or the record category dictates that we have to keep that content for 25 years or 50 years or indefinitely. And you may want to have the audit trail for the life of the document. So that could be an issue from a compliance standpoint, from an archival standpoint. Yeah, given all of that, that's why we created a product called Gravity MOAT, and MOAT stands for the Microsoft Office Audit Trail. So this is an archiving solution, which is compliance focused. It's stored in your Azure environment. So while it is a cloud solution, it's not stored. It's stored in your own Microsoft cloud environment, and no one else has access to it. It allows for custom reports. It allows for complete control over the audit. It is multilingual and allows access to the audit trail without needing access to the compliance center in Microsoft 365. So certainly what we are seeing in some organizations is that the configuration of compliance and access to that compliance area is managed by IT. And so as a records manager, you might need access to that audit trail behind the scenes. So if you're a technical person, this is what the solution architecture is, all the little bits and pieces that come together to create the solution. There's searching, reporting, and exporting. So we can search based off any criteria. There's advanced searching. We have all kinds of cool reports that we can do. And you can export that content. So if you have a suspicious document that was ransomwared, or you want to see who deleted something, you can pull the information out and then take action on that. From a compliance standpoint, we can auto-delete the audit trail based on the source. So if you don't care about a certain product like OneDrive, maybe there's no official records in OneDrive, and you're fine to let that audit trail automatically disappear after 5 years or 1 year, you can do that. We allow the ability to anonymize the audit trail or delete the audit trail entries. So if I have a document that is run through disposition, so it's reached end of life, it's classified to a record category, it's approved by the Office of Primary Responsibility for Destruction, and we destroy that document. The question for you would be, hey, do I want to keep that audit trail around because it's some useful information? And so I can see the behavior and adoption of email or Yammer or social features in the platform over time. But maybe you don't want to keep who the user was that did the action. So you'd be able to go into all the audit trails relating to a document that is run through destruction and remove the username essentially. So you still get some of that richness and that background, and we can see behavior and governance and your compliance over time without having the risk of having to pull up that data and serve it. You can also place the audit trails in legal hold. So that's also something that's missing from the Microsoft 365 platform, would be the ability to place the audit trail on hold. So if you have a document that is part of litigation or an FOI request, and you want to make sure you hold on to the audit trail for that document during the time that the document is on hold. We're also able to place the audit trail on hold as well. So this is an example of what an audit trail entry looks like once it has been anonymized. You see that we've scrubbed out the username from the audit trail. So you still get the notion that we had a file that was accessed and we know what the site was and what the file was and where it was, but we no longer know who did the action. And as again, it's only for documents that have been deleted. There is an API that would allow you to, of course, tie in some of the stuff to automate placing documents on hold, etc. We also tie into SharePoint. So you're actually able to, so for example, if you wanted to, I mean, we've done some redaction here, but if you want to see all the activities for a given library, you're able to see that. Or if I want to see a list of everything that's been deleted from this document library, you can do that as well. So some cool inline SharePoint reports coming from MOAT as well. So we could do a list activity, deleted items list, and deleted libraries list as well. You can create your own reports, which is very cool. So with that, let's hop into a demo. So here is the MOAT product. This is the landing page of the product. First, if we look at the, so we can sort of see how many items are being downloaded on a daily basis. We're a company of 25 people, so you can see, during the weekend, it's on a whole lot of activity happening, and then during the week, it's between 8,000 to 10,000 items being downloaded. We can see which products we're subscribing to. Going into the administration area, I can go to the download stats and see how many items were downloaded, how quickly, what the duration was for that download. I can look at the history and see if we had any errors or problems with the download to make sure the hygiene and that the integrity of our audit trail is good. I can also see which products we're currently subscribed to. So maybe you don't care about Exchange or Azure Active Directory, you can unsubscribe or subscribe to those various products. Going up to the search area, we can search for a specific document. So I could type in, for example, my last name. I probably have some documents in our system that have my name in it. You pick a date range. Of course, you may have millions of potential entries that are coming up. So we'll want to make sure we just specify a date range. And then we can see a bunch of activity for documents that have my name in the path or in the name of the document itself, and who the user was and what the operation was and when the action actually happened. We can do user activity, so I can search for all the activity for myself. And so, for example, I could say, hey, what was I doing on the 12th and 13th of March? And we can see I was accessing things and deleting things, and had to ID the document, and I can dig further into that content and see what's happening. If I found a match or I've done a search and I found some suspicious activity, I can download the audit trail entries that match our criteria. We have the choice of downloading just the stuff that we see here, or if I want everything, I can download that entire file. And we can see here it'll take a couple seconds, and we can go and view that entire audit trail entry in the raw JSON format. We can see all the detail of all the activities that matched our search criteria. We can do IP address activity. So for example, if I wanted to search for, let's say we have some suspicious activity happening from a given IP address, maybe it's coming from a different country, I would be able to perhaps look at activity for a given date range for a given IP address. We can see this my account and what I've been up to, and again I can go get all the information there if I want to. We have so library search, a site activity search. If I want to see all the activity that has been happening in our marketing site, I can certainly do that and see all the activity in a given site. So I can see who's within our marketing site, what they've been doing, which documents they were looking at. Going into the reports, we got lots of reports there. We do have, hundreds of reports. If I wanted to, for example, I want to see deleted sites by user. I can go look at that. I can go look at all the page views. I can see who's been removed from groups. I can see site collections created. So again, lots of governance stuff that we can see here. Maybe some more interesting ones would be going into system reports and just seeing the total activity for a given time frame across all the various products in Microsoft 365. So we can see here that SharePoint is the most popular product, and I can remove that from the graph, and I can dig into the data and see that we got OneDrive is the next most popular, and then it's Active Directory, and we can see we don't have a whole lot of stuff for Microsoft Flow happening right now. Again, I can download this. I can actually copy this graph. It's just an image. We can download the underlying data in JSON, XML, or CSV format. Some more interesting reports. We can look at Active Directory, and I can look at, say, failed login attempts. So this could be an indication of perhaps someone trying to hack some accounts. So we can go and see how many failed login attempts we have per user account, and then we can perhaps go dig into that and see what D Spears was doing and why it took him 28 times to log into to his account. From a compliance perspective, we do have audit management. So if you needed to go and anonymize all the items for a given file, we can do that. If you wanted to anonymize all SharePoint audit entries for a given user, we can also do that as well. So if you have a user that has left the organization and you want to remove all of their activity because you need to meet your needs around compliance, you can do that as well. And both of these are also available through the API. So if you have a records management system, or you wanted to, as part of a Power Automate flow, go ahead and anonymize an audit trail for a document that's about to be destroyed, we can do that as well. We can dig into the workload management. So we have, control over, hey, for Microsoft Flow for workflows, maybe I'm not interested. We go ahead and skip the source. I don't want to collect the audit trail for the workflows in Microsoft. Or if you prefer, we could auto purge. So hey, like the workflows are kind of valuable, but let's just store those for 3 years, and after 3 years, just stop collecting them and go ahead and auto delete or auto purge all those activities. Or if we leave it blank, it'll just be 0, and it'll store onto everything for as long as you want. So we have the ability to sort of manage at a more fine-grained approach to the various products that we have in Microsoft 365. So Active Directory, Exchange, Flow, Forms, etc. Lastly, we have legal holds. So again, if you wanted to place an audit trail for a given product, or a given document rather, or a given user or an IP address, I can go ahead and create a new hold. This could be the name of a case. Go ahead and create one of those, and then we can go in here and I can add IP addresses onto hold. I can add user IDs onto hold. So go ahead and add the mschweitzer at gravityunion.com. And now any activity from this user account and any audit trail entry across the entire system will be placed on hold as well. So that's a good overview of the MOAT product. I believe it's sort of the world's only compliance-focused product to do audit trail archiving in the M365 platform. That's some screenshots there. If you want to learn more, you can go to gravityunion.com/MOAT. And thanks for joining us today.